Great. If at any point you are not hearing me, let me know. Or you're not seeing the screen, it might be an issue on my end, let me know. Right, so preparation for the exams. So the exam, paper, well, we're looking at paper 2, so let's just go straight to that. Paper 2 lasts for 2 hours and 30 minutes. That's 150 minutes in total. It consists of 6 questions and you must answer all 6 questions. Part A of the paper has 4 questions which require short answer responses. Section A, which we know is the individual, family, and society, there are 2 questions with 14 marks each. Then there's section B, which is sustainable development and use of resources, which is 2 questions with 14 marks each as well. Then we have part B of the paper, which has 2 questions, and it requires responses written in essay format. Section A, your question is based on individual, family, and society. So that ranges from family straight up until government. And 1 question is worth 22 marks. I will explain how that 22 marks is given. And section B, which is sustainable development and use of resources, which ranges from human resources, population, straight until regional integration and tourism development. That is 1 question with 22 marks as well. So the mark allocation for the essay itself is marked out of 18 marks, and 4 marks are given for grammar, language, organization, and development. What do we mean by that? So 18 marks is for the content. Based on how they are asking, the marks are allocated or divided. So I'll show you that when we get to an essay type questions. And 4 marks is for how you organize, you develop, and your grammar and language. So it will include your introduction, your conclusion, how well your essay flows, and also formatting. So they may ask you to write a letter. So of course, they want to see the essay in a letter format. So their Jill, they might ask you to write an article. So you write it in an article format. They might ask you to write a speech to a PTA. So you start off with good morning, members of the PTA. So that is part of the 4 marks that is given for your grammar organization and development. So let's look at time management. Let me just go back to, right. So there are 3 persons in the waiting room. Okay, good. So let's look at time management. So your reading time, what it is suggested is that you spend 10 minutes reading all the questions carefully. Now, what this does, it opens up your mind to what you already know, the content in your brain. So you will go through the paper and you realize, okay, I know this. So one time the information is starting to flood your brain. That is why we say spend just 10 minutes reading all the questions carefully, seeing, okay, what they're asking, what part, what they want, so that your mind or automatically begins to look at content. For your short answer questions, the suggested time is to spend 15 minutes per question. So that, well, there are 4 questions. So you spend 15 minutes each on those 4 questions. So that will take you to 60 minutes. So you'll take an hour to do the section or the part A of the paper. And then the long answer or the essay type questions, the suggested time is that you spend 40 minutes per question. So that will take us to the 150 minutes of the paper. So the 10 minutes to read, the 60 minutes to answer the short answer questions, and the 40 minutes per question. Now, of course, once you would have studied and the content is there, you may not spend an entire 15 minutes on a question, or you might not spend the entire 40 minutes on the long answer essay question. So that means you will always have extra time. And when we say extra time, we just mean extra time if you would have finished the questions in less time that was suggested. So let's look at answering the questions. Let me just check back to see if I have to admit anyone. Okay, good. Right. So answering questions. The short answer questions, it needs, or it wants that you give clear and direct answers, including examples and main points. Now, I always suggest that you give a short example or an example when you are answering questions. Why I suggest that? It is in case you are unable to express your answer in a manner that, in a textbook manner, for lack of a better term. When you give an example, they can see from the example that you know what you are talking about, that you understand what is the concept. You just can't put it in words, but you give an example so they know what you mean. So I always suggest to use examples in your answers. Then you identify command words. We will go through the list. I have some and the meaning. You look for terms like describe, explain, compare, define, etc. to understand what is needed. So when we are finished here, we'll be looking at some command words so that you could understand what is needed when you see those command words. Then you look at the marks allocated to know how much is required for your answer. So for instance, you see a question that says, identify one function of the family. And the marks allocated is 1 mark. They are not asking you to tell them what that function is and how it comes about and how the government will assist. No, it's 1 mark. They're looking for one function. You have procreation, socialization, provision of economic needs, provision of emotional support. One of those, because they ask for one. So you always look at the answer, or the mark, to know how much is required in the answer. Or let us say, for instance, they ask a question, describe one of the functions of the family, and you see 2 marks. Automatically, you know, they're not asking you just to name a function, but they want you to tell them about the function because it is 2 marks. Although it is one thing that they want, 1 based on the command word and 2 based on how much marks is allocated for the question, we know that they are asking for a little more explanation, a description, as the question would suggest. Same thing if you see a question worth 8 marks or even 10 marks, you know that you need to get into detail. You need to provide some examples to ensure that you will get the full marks for the question. Let me just see if anybody else. Okay, yeah. Right. Then we have here, figure out the focus of the question and make sure that you address every part of it. Now, sometimes you may see the question and you know the content, so you don't read properly to actually figure out what they're asking. And you just decide, or you just begin to write all the information you have on the specific thing, not knowing that they ask you to something else. So let me give an example. So a question might come that says, we go straight to functions of the family. All my examples I'll use is functions of the family. So let us say, for instance, they ask, how does the school help carry out the function of socialization? You didn't focus on what the question is asking. You just see socialization and you start to write. Socialization begins in the family. The family is where the children learn to interact with others in society. The family teaches them to not steal and teaches values and all of that. And you go on and on about socialization in the family and you get 0 marks. And you want to know, but I mash up that question. You did not focus on what the question is addressing. They ask about how the school helps to assist. So that means your answer has to be focused, yes, on socialization and also on how the school assists with carrying out that function. Let me just check and see if anybody else is inside. I think I got booted out of this Zoom. Are you all hearing me now? Send a thumbs up. No? Okay. Yes, definitely got booted out this Zoom. And now I'm seeing two. Okay. Right. So I think the last thing you all would have heard was about figuring out the focus of, yeah, figure out the focus of the question. Right. The next point here says to be concise, stick to the point, and avoid unnecessary detail. Make sure every sentence adds value to your answer. Sometimes we get carried away because we have all the information in our head, but that will also take up time. So be concise, stick to the point, and avoid unnecessary details. If they ask about how the school carries out the function, they don't want to know about what the family does and how the family helps the children to tie their shoelacing and have them on a routine that they wake them up at the same time every morning. That's unnecessary details. Next one says to use examples to illustrate your point, especially if you think expressing your thoughts becomes difficult. I would have spoken to that before. If time allows, review your answers to correct any mistakes and ensure clarity. Now, this part here, it kind of sets up some people because when they check over their answers, they realize or they second guess themselves. So they end up taking it off, putting a different answer, and then the answer is wrong, and a whole lot of issues in the exam for them that they place on themselves. You're reviewing your answers. You're ensuring that what you said is what is there, what you think it is. Don't second guess yourself unless it doesn't make sense at all. The next one, long answer or essay questions. The format of your essay should be in the format that the question is requiring. Example, letter format, speech format, etc. We would have spoken to that already. Plan your answer. Spend a few minutes outlining your response to organize your thoughts. This is for the long answer questions. There is always space in the booklet available for that. So use it. It might be so how the long answer questions is coming because they're asking in point form specifically. You on your where you are planning your answer or outlining your responses, you can just quickly answer those bullet points. And then when you are finished answering, then you go to write it in the essay format. This will help you because if you just decide, okay, I'm going to write this essay, your thoughts might be confusing and you will be, it could become a whole mess for you in the exam. So use the paper or use the space that is available for doing your brainstorming and all of that. What I will suggest is to answer every bullet point there first and then see about doing the essay or the essay format that they ask. Introduction. Briefly introduce the topic and state your main idea. So this is for the essay type question as well. Again, if it is a letter format, dear whoever, I am writing to, and you introduce whatever is the topic that they would give you. And you begin by saying what you are going to speak about. If it's a speech, because when you are giving a speech, we know the rules of speech. In your introduction, this is where you would highlight what you are going to speak about. So, whatever is the format, do your introduction based on that. Then you have the body paragraph, which you develop your arguments with clear points and examples. So, in the body of your essay, you can indent, just as if you were doing English, you can indent to show each point that they are asking. So as opposed to putting back bullet points, sorry, in your essay, you use paragraph forms to show the different answers or the different responses to what they asked. And then we have the conclusion, where you summarize your main points and restate the main idea. We know how to do a conclusion. And again, based on the format, you will know how to do this. So let's look at some command. Okay, there are persons in the waiting room. Just let me admit them. Right, so for those who would have just joined or would have joined while I was speaking, what I was doing, I was just going through the format of the paper, how it is expected to be answered, how marks are expected to be allocated, etc. What we are going to do now, we are going to look at some command words that will help you to understand how to answer or what is required of you in your answer. And of course, we look at how much marks the questions are worth, and you will know how much to write. So are we all following along? Just send a thumbs up. Okay, great. So I'm just sharing my screen. I don't know what's happening. The computer is just moving slow today. Right, so let's look at some main command words. Of course, this is not all the command words that you will see in the in the paper, but it's the most common ones. So let's go. Analyze. What does analyze? Okay, let me just send on that. Require you to do? To look closely at something, break it down. What does analyze mean? Sorry. To look closely at something, break it down into smaller parts and try to understand how those parts work together. So that's the meaning of analyze. What to do? When you see the command word analyze, it wants you to highlight strengths and weaknesses or advantages and disadvantages. It wants you to discuss possible reasons for trends or patterns and also to summarize the information and then form a conclusion. So most of the times when you see the command word analyze, those questions could range from 8 to 10 marks because of how many things that they want you to do by using the term analyze. Then we have compare. To look at two or more things and find out what is similar and different about them. What to do? You pay attention to the main points and explain how they are alike and different, given proof of details. Because usually, when they use the word compare or the command word compare, they have two variables. So they want you to look at the two of them and say how they are the same, how they are different, and to give proof of that. Define. This is to explain what a word or phrase means in a clear, straightforward way using simple words. Usually when you see define, it it is for 2 marks. What to do? Use simple language to give a clear, concise explanation of a word or of what a word or term means. Simple as that. Give the meaning of the word or the phrase. Then we have describe. To give a thorough account or explanation of an idea, event, process, or thing that happens. Usually, for describe, if they ask you to describe one thing, you will see that for 2 marks. They ask you to describe two things, you'll see it for 4 marks. Because that means for each description, it will be for 2 marks. What to do? Give details on features, qualities, and operation. Use words to highlight features. So just like the example that I would have given with the function of the family, describe one function of the family. It wants you to tell them what it is. Give details about it. Next word, discuss. To examine the subject by looking at its advantages and disadvantages. Again, discusses another one of those command words those command words that will, if you see it, it weighs 2 marks for one thing. Sometimes it could go up to 4 based on what they're asking. What to do? Think about different views and give reasons to support your answer. Evaluate. To review, critique, make a judgment, or assess a concept based on its strengths, weaknesses, and overall effectiveness. Evaluate also is one of those questions that weighs, well, one of those command words in the question that weighs a lot of marks as well. Because what they want you to do, check how well the idea that you are evaluating works, point out what is good about the idea that you are evaluating, and suggest improvements to the idea that you are evaluating. And then the last one, examine. Oh, this is probably not the last one. No, that is not the last one. Sorry. Examine to study something carefully, look into it in depth, and think about it from different points of view. What they want you to do, give an in-depth and thorough analysis by looking at different aspects of the subject, presenting evidence and judging how important it is. So that's how you examine. Explain. We know how to. So explain to state a drawback, advantage, benefit, and provide logical linked strands. What to do or what we mean. Be specific. Make a point. Give a reason why, often given as because, and state the consequence, positive or negative. So the question might be to explain why it is necessary for the family to provide for the economic needs of its members. So they wanted to say why, give your reason why, make your point, be specific, and state the consequence. If this is not done, and you state the consequence. Then we have identify. To recognize, point out, or indicate certain parts, factors, or elements in a given situation. What to do? Make the identify elements clear by stating or listing them without going into a lot of detail or analysis. Pay attention to correctly naming the things that are being asked for. So we would have used this example, identify a function of the family. This might just be for 1 mark because all they're asking for you to do is to state or list the item that they're asking. Then we have list to give points one after the other. What to do? Put each point on a separate line or bullet point to organize your answer. Cover all the important points and leave out any unimportant information or answers. So if they said, list the 4 functions of the family, you use your lines. If there are 4 lines, you use the 4 lines to list the 4 functions. If they don't, you put 1, procreation, 2, socialization, 3, provision of economic needs, 4, provision of emotional support. So if they ask you to list more than one thing, you do it like that. If they just say list a function of the family, you just say what it is. Outline, the next one, outline, to give a general idea of the important points or parts of a topic. So this is usually 2 marks for outlining one thing. What to do? Write a short, well-organized summary. Present your answer in a logical way. Now, short, emphasis on short, because these are usually just 2 marks for one idea. And it's a summarized version of probably explaining. It's a summarized version of explaining. Next word we have is recommend. To suggest actions that you think will help solve a problem. We know for sure, either recommend comes in those short answer questions, and of course in the essay as well, recommend or suggest. Those are the interchangeable command words, recommend or suggest. So what to do? Give clear, straightforward advice or suggestions. Back up your choice with proof or reasons. Think about the questions, background, and any limits that were given, and make sure that the suggestion is useful and relevant to the case. And the reason why that last part there that says make sure the suggestion is useful and relevant to the case, because we all know what comes after one of those recommend or suggest questions is explain why it is useful, explain why it is effective, explain why it will work. We know that is the question that comes right after that. So your recommendations or your suggestions should be useful and relevant so that you can explain that in that other part of the question. The next one we have is state. To give a straight answer based on facts without any reasoning or analysis. What to do? Simply list the facts or give a clear answer based on the questions. So state the function of the family that deals with managing emotions All you need to say there is provision of emotional support. That's what all they asking. Then we have just as recommend, to mention or introduce an answer, idea, or thought. What to do? Provide a well thought out idea or plan based on what you know or understand. And make it clear, why you think your suggestion is a good idea. As I just said, when we look at recommend, suggest, and recommend, I use interchangeably. So that is it for the command words. Or there are more persons starting it. Right, so that was it for the command words and preparing for the exam. So what I will do, I will share back my screen with the preparation in terms of how to answer the questions anytime allocated. I'll just do that for about 2 minutes for you all to read it through, especially those who would have just come and would have missed that part. And then we will get straight into our questions. For those who would have just joined us, what we'll be looking at is some questions based on each topic or the grouping of each topic. We may look at 2 or 3 short answer questions and, of course, one essay type, because the essay type question can come on any of the topics now. And we'll be answering as interactively as we can. I will call your name if you do not know the answer or if you cannot respond. Please indicate so that we will not be wasting time waiting, knowing that you're not going to answer. And that is fine. We move on and we get it done. At the end, what we will do, the 2 past papers that is available for this new format, we will go through that. So I'm just going to share the preparation for exam for 2 minutes. For those who just joined us, they can see what they missed. Let me just admit these persons in. So are you all seeing this screen?
Yes, miss.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Francis. Nobody needs me to scroll down as yet. It's only 2 minutes I'm having this up for. So let me know if you need me to scroll down so that you could see the rest of.
Yeah, miss, I think it was cool.
Thank you, sir. So you just have about 30 seconds. Right. So for those who would have just joined, we're going to begin our questions. The questions are divided based on the topic or the topics. So the first section we have is individual, family, and society. What I will do, I will put the question on the screen. I will allow for if anyone has a response, I will use the chat to call random names. If you do not know the answer, please indicate that you do not know so that we can move on. There's nothing here as a wrong answer that you're not able to learn from. So the whole idea of this is to help you to understand how to answer the questions. So I'm going to share my screen again. Okay. So remember, each question is worth 14 marks. You know, my screen is not sharing as yet. What's happening here? Great. So I'm seeing someone. Okay, thank you so very much. So, and if you cannot answer based on where you are, just please indicate so I will know not to call on you as well. So, thank you very much, Rachel. I think it is. Right. So, the first question here, family. Identify one change in the roles and responsibilities of both men and women in the family and describe one possible effect of each of these changes. Before I continue, these questions were done by Jill Morris in her new textbook, Success as CSEC, Social Studies. So the credit is to be given to her. For all copyright purposes, we just need to mention that. So one time, one time you see the command word here. What is the command word? Anyone?
Identify.
Identify.
Identify. Great. So we know that they just want you to state it, to list it, not to go into much detail. We look at how much marks it's worth. It is worth 4 marks. So let's just break up that to see how the 4 marks are allocated. So they say identify one change in the roles and responsibilities of both men and women. So that means they want one change for the men, one change for the women. So that's 1 mark, 1 mark. And then they said here to describe one possible effect of each of these changes. The command word in that part is describe, and because it's described, that will be 2 marks. So that is how the 4 marks are distributed in these questions, or in this question, sorry. So let's identify one change in the roles and responsibilities of both men and women. So what are the changes that we see in the roles of both men and women? Alexia. Okay, I call Alexia and she left. J. Jay. J. Right. So we know that traditionally the women were expected to be in the home. So that is one change. They were expected to be in the home and now they can take up jobs outside of the home. So that is one change in the roles and responsibility of the women. The men, one change in the role is that traditionally they were the breadwinners in the home and they rarely took part in childcare. However, because women are now taking up jobs outside of the home, the men help in child rearing. So we identify one change in both the men and the women. And one possible effect of the first change is that women are now more independent and they can also help in financially in the home. So that is one possible effect of it. We could add another one where we look at the men, with the change in the men, and we can say that the men may now be more involved in the emotional and psychological development of the children. So let's put our answer there. So they ask for one.
Excuse me, miss.
Yes.
Miss, would male marginalization be one?
Yes, that could be another effect as well. So one time we thinking, so there are several effects. I would have just listed one for the answer and one other one. So good. So we have male marginalization as well. Anybody could think of any other possible effects, either for the first change or the second change. I'll probably highlight.
Yes, it has the
With
possibility that women wouldn't want to make children anymore.
The men
Also,
would not what? I didn't hear that.
it also has the possibility that women would not want to take on the responsibility of having children anymore because they want
Right.
to push for their career.
To pursue a career. Good. So one possible effect as well, excellent, is that of course, with the opportunity to further the education or to work in or job opportunities, they'll decide, okay, the woman that is, I don't really want to have either any more children or any children at all. Good. Anybody else? You could just raise your hand so that, because I heard two persons just now at the same time. So you could just virtually raise your hand and offer your answer. If not, we move on to the second one. All right, so let's move on to the second question. Describe two potential impacts of separation, and this could either be migration, death, divorce, on children. What is the command word?
describe.
Describe. So that means they want you to go in a bit of detail. And we see that it's for 4 marks. So that means each potential impact is worth 2 marks. So immediately you know how much you will need to write. So anybody wants to offer an answer here? So I realize calling names not working out because persons either leaving or they're just not answering. So if you want to offer an answer, just raise your hand. If not, we move on. Right. So let's look at our answers here. So let's choose one. Let's choose divorce. So two potential impacts of divorce on children. So in circumstances of divorce, the children may feel rejected, alienated, or depressed, as they may feel that they are the cause of the divorce. And a second impact, and this could be for either one of those, migration, death, or divorce, the children may experience grief or sadness or even anger, and this will cause them to either act out or become withdrawn. So let's put the answers there. So those are two possible responses to two potential impacts of separation, either migration, death, or divorce. And you would notice in the first one, I would have indicated which of the three that I am looking at. So that's why I would have started in the circumstances of divorce so that they will know, okay, is divorce we describing this impact. And the other one is open. So it could be for either migration, death, or divorce. So I'm seeing someone saying emotional stress, yes, poor academic performance. So when you, and I'll just explain that as well. When you are offering an answer, you're answering the question, you like how they say here to describe, you don't just put poor academic performance. Say how poor academic performance will affect or impact the children. So yes, poor academic performance is one. However, you need to say how. So because of it, the child may be stressed out or they may be not able to focus in school, and this leads to poor academic performance. So I hope you understand to the person who would have responded that. Just a suggestion, as I saw this person would have messaged directly to me as opposed to in the group. So if you're feeling a bit shy about your responses or your answer, you could do that as well. I wouldn't say who. Yes, Tanishka, I seen your hands up.
I had children may experience bullying due to the circumstances of the separation, causing them to be emotionally vulnerable.
Good. So you would have described there what it is. Good. And the third part or part C of the first question, write out a job description for an effective parent. Identify 4 skills that they will need and 2 personal attributes that will be useful. So immediately, based on what they're saying, they're looking at effective parenting or skills, effective parenting skills. So they ask you to identify, which is the command word there, 4 skills. Remember, when we are identifying, we want to list it out, and then 2 personal attributes. So this is not asking you to do a whole essay or in an essay format. Where's my work going? Or in an essay format. Just give me a second. My work seems to be disappearing. Every time I click something, it goes somewhere else. Give me a second to rectify what is actually happening. So in the meantime, you can answer the question so that you can offer the response as I try to locate where everything is going. What is happening, computer? Okay, let's extract this entire thing. Okay. Wow. Okay, there we go. I do not understand what is happening to my computer. Right. Seem to be back up here now. Good. So I'm seeing someone is saying here, they're identifying the 4, what it is, the 4 skills. And we have communication skills, problem solving skills, decision making skills, financial skills, and personal attributes, patience, and responsibility. Excellent. So you would have answered Right, so what I would have done, write out a job description. I just put job, effective parent, requirements, and I would have listed out requirements. Must have good communication skills, good problem solving skills, money management skills, knowledge of good nutrition. You could have had it just like personal attributes, and you put it. I have additionally being patient will be useful and having a high level of understanding. And just like that, you have your 14 marks. So I'm seeing someone else saying here an effective parent is someone who should provide emotional support, physical support. So that could come in your personal attributes, right? So that is the first question we have, first short answer question we have in the family. Let's look at another short answer question. So I think with family, we will look at four possible questions. So describe 2 ways in which having women in leadership roles has changed traditional gender roles in the Caribbean. So the command word there is
Describe.
describe. So they want 2 ways, so each way will be 2 marks. So that is what will give you the 4 marks. So 2 ways in which having more women in leadership roles change the traditional gender roles. Of course, we know traditionally the women were expected to be in the house and to take care of the children and all of that. So how does having them in leadership role change these gender roles? We know, so as I just said, we know that traditionally where their role was to take care of the home and children, and with women taking up leadership roles, it causes them to work outside of the home and maybe even spending less time at home and with the children. So that's the first way in which, and this isn't talk about women who work from home. This is who work outside of the home, as the answer would suggest. And the second way, because of this, men may now have to take on more responsibility in their home when it comes to childcare and household chores, as opposed to their traditional roles of just being the breadwinner. So here you would have indicated what the roles were before and now how women working or being in leadership roles would have changed those roles. We look at both from the woman's perspective and also from the men's perspective. Anyone else wants to offer an answer there, or are we good there? Right, so I'm seeing someone saying they have become breadwinners of the home. Good, so we would have spoken to that. Right, traditionally, society viewed men as primary as the providers and women as the domestic caregivers. As women enter high-level leadership and professional positions, they have become significant or primary breadwinners, which leads men to taking over household duties. Excellent. So we can move on to the next question, or the next part of the question. Jesus, what did I do? So something is happening with my computer today. I'm not too sure. Never behave like this. So the part B of the question says to explain how having leadership jobs might affect women's ability to balance work and home life. So if you notice, they didn't ask for a specific number here. They didn't say explain how or give two explanations, but we could see that it's for 4 marks. So either your one explanation is so in depth that it gives you the 4 marks, or you split it up in two to achieve the 4 marks. So explain how having leadership jobs might affect women's ability to balance work and home life. Immediately based on content, they're talking about here double burden, what it means for a woman to have these two roles and all of that. So let's answer that part there. So this might become especially difficult for women physically as they have to perform both roles. This leads to double burden on the woman as they have a job outside of the home and still come home expected to fulfill the roles and responsibilities in the home. So if you notice, that is one explanation there. And this can also affect the woman mentally and emotionally, causing her to feel guilty and worried, as she may feel as if she is neglecting her family and family responsibilities if most of her time is spent at the workplace. So, as I said, you can separate your answer into two to acquire 2 marks each for your 4 marks, or you explain your 1 point so well that you could acquire the 4 marks for it. Right, so someone here is saying they may not be present to take care of the home or children. So very good. We're on the same page. So that's exactly what I would have said there when we look at their feeling guilty because they're not able to be home. They might feel as if they are neglecting their families. Excellent. Seeing another message. Women in leadership jobs might affect their ability to balance work and home because leadership jobs have high expectations, good, and both roles may have a negative effect on right. So that's what we just said. Having a negative effect on them, making them feel as if they are neglecting their families. Excellent. So I like how people send in the direct messages, but it's the same persons who are. So others, please get involved. If you have any questions, you could stop me at any time. If you want to add something, you could do so as well. Let's look at the other part.
Excuse me, Miss.
Yes.
Miss, I don't really understand this question because the question saying that how would affect women's ability to balance work and home. I was more thinking of like answer that will talk about the home and the work, of course. So it kind of confusing, Miss. If you could like re-explain it.
Tell me what your answer is and we will work on what you was thinking.
Miss, repeat.
What were you thinking about? Give me your answer. Because based on the answer that is on the screen here, we're talking about home because they physically it affects them because they might have to come home and after a long day still have to fulfill the woman responsibilities like cooking, doing homework with the children and all of that. So it could have an effect on the woman themselves in terms of physically they're tired. And then also they may be neglect. It may seem that they are neglecting their responsibilities because of the time that is being spent on the workplace. And again, this can have an effect on the woman whereby she may feel as if she's neglecting her home and responsibilities.
Okay, Miss.
You still didn't get it?
Miss, it's not that I don't get it. I get what you're saying, but um, the way you write here, it was more like on the emotion side of the female.
And you were thinking more how it affects like the children and all of that?
No, Miss, I was thinking more like to explain like how it would affect the balance. I was mostly focused on the word balance.
Okay. So it means that it's hard for them to balance the both then, physically and emotionally. So that's what when we're
Okay.
talking about balance, being able to do the two things at the same time, that will have a toll on them physically and mentally. So when we if even if you zoom in on the word balance, it's difficult for them physically to balance the two, seeing that the two are demanding full-time jobs, and it's hard for them to balance the two mentally because now if they have to spend most of their time at work, they feel a type of way because they cannot fulfill the role or their role in the home. So that's
Okay, Miss.
narrowing it
Thank
to
you.
balance. No problem. Next one, discuss 3 ways in which having more women in leadership roles in the Caribbean affects the region. So this now is looking outside of the home. The command word there is discuss. We're looking at 3 ways, and we're not looking at leadership roles in the home or in the workplace, but we're looking at how it affects the Caribbean region. For each, explain 3 benefits of having women in leadership roles. So, with a question like this, there's no correct textbook answer. This will these answers will depend on your personal feelings. Um, and when I was going through it, I was thinking some of the answers makes it sound, like almost like a feminist, but based on what they asking, it's an opinionated response that they're looking for. So, and it kind of like empowering women. So you start to think on that in terms of that mindset, empowering women. So having women in leadership roles shows the younger generation of women that they are capable of being in leadership roles as well. This is beneficial as younger girls have role models in leadership roles and it will inspire them to pursue the same. Even with this answer, you could throw in an example. So, who are some women that we have in leadership roles in the Caribbean?
Our Prime Minister,
The Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. So, we don't only have Trinidadians here. So, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Kamla Prasad Bisesa. Oh gosh, I'm sorry for those who answers I didn't respond to in the chat. Sorry, I'll do better. Right. We have the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Kamla Prasad Bisesa. Who else do we have in the Caribbean region in leadership roles?
The president.
The President of Trinidad and Tobago as well. Who else in the Caribbean region? I know we don't
I
only have
think the Prime Minister in Barbados is also a
right?
woman.
Good. So we have the Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Mottley. Excellent. So in the Caribbean region, we have a lot of examples. I'm seeing Grenada, but I'm not seeing like Grenada who, Grenada what, governor, I'm guessing. right? So we have examples that you could use for the right Governor General. Very good. So we have examples that we can use in this response to show that we know women in leadership positions in the region. So obviously those from Trinidad and Tobago will use the examples of their prime minister. Those from Grenada might use their governor general, those from Barbados. And if you are not from any country where you know of any female in leadership roles, you can use those same examples as well. So you can say, for example, the Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Mottley. Then the second way, it encourages gender equality in the workplace where women are seen as being able to perform in these roles at high levels. This is beneficial as it brings acceptance to women in leadership roles and confidence that women can perform tasks in these positions and encourages higher participation of women in the workforce. So as I said before, this question kind of shows empowerment for women. So this is where it guides you as to how to answer based on empowering or how women are empowered now. And then the third one, women in leadership role changes the narrative that a woman's place is in the home. This is beneficial as it makes it more acceptable for both men and women to take on non-traditional roles. So this last one especially, we know of this. We know that traditionally women was expected to be in the home. So now that women are able to occupy leadership roles, it shows that no, the woman's place is not in the home. And we can accept that, and we can accept that men can pick up non-traditional roles like taking care of the children. So that was for 6 marks each way that you would have discussed and explain. You would have gotten 2 marks each. So you say what is your answer, and then you explain the benefits of having the women in these leadership roles. So you can do it like this, one after the next for each, or you can do it separately. I always suggest that you do it one after the next so that when you get one idea out, it is out there as opposed to having to come back now to as opposed to having to come back to try to remember, okay, where my trend of thought was when I wrote this answer. Somebody said the second point could be increasing productivity by utilizing full talent pool of the population. So good. We have another answer here concerning that question. So that is where you would get your 6 marks. And let's look at an essay type question based on the topic of family. So I will put it here. So write a speech about various forms of the family. In your speech, define the term family. Explain the difference between adoption and fostering. Analyze the social and emotional effects of adoption and informal informal care situations on children, particularly discussing the phenomenon of barrel children in the Caribbean. Then propose 3 strategies that societies can use to support diverse family formation, ensuring that children's emotional and educational needs are met regardless of family structure. And the last part, evaluate the long-term implications of recognizing and supporting diverse family formations on societal cohesion and child welfare in the Caribbean. So, this is asking for a lot. This is why we have the extra space in order to formulate. So, and you all have it good because long ago we didn't have our essay type questions like this, bullet points asking specifically for things. We were given the paragraph and we had to figure it out. So one time you begin to brainstorm, you begin to write your answers before you actually start the speech. So on your scrap paper or the paper that they give you, you write down your definition of family. Then you write down the difference between adoption and fostering. Then you write down the social and emotional effects. So that is how you do your essay type question. You begin by looking at each part and answering each part, and then you bring it together in your essay. So it says to write a speech. So we know, of course, if you're starting a speech, they didn't say to who. So this is where you use your imagination and you come up with, if you're writing a speech to your school, you're writing a speech to the community, you decide. And when you decide, you begin your essay there. So it might be morning, good morning to the esteemed members of the community of St. Joseph. Today, I am going to be presenting a speech, or today we'll be discussing family formations, we look at adoption and fostering, and we will look at supporting diverse families formations in the Caribbean. So in your introduction, using whichever format, you will be highlighting what will be discussed in your essay. So the first thing that will be discussed there is defining the term family. We know what a family is, and you begin your essay with that. So what I will do, I'll just put the answers like right under each bullet point. So a family is a group of people related by blood, marriage, or adoption who share a common household or residence and are dependent on each other. Now, even when you're doing your essay, you're not just going to answer your bullet points one after the next. It must flow like an essay. So here, after you put the definition of family, you are not just going to start with the difference between adoption and fostering. You will, or you should, write a sentence or two that can flow into that, knowing the difference between adoption and fostering. So you can see something like, as the definition says there, where you have the group of people related by blood or adoption, you can say that families are formed through different means. Persons may not be able to have children on their own, and thus will lead them to adopting or fostering children. And that is where you begin to now explain the difference between adoption and fostering. So when they say explain the difference between, they want you to tell them what is adoption and what is fostering. So we know adoption is okay, what's happening there? When a family legally obtains a child or children and they become part of the family legally, this is permanent and the adoptive parents have full rights to the child or children. Why are we making sure we put that line, this is permanent? Because you are explaining the difference between fostering, which is not permanent. So you must show the difference there. Fostering is temporary care offered to a child or children where their parents cannot take care of them or while a permanent situation is being worked out on the child's behalf. Right, so I'm seeing persons responding in the chat. So someone has, good day everyone. Today I will be talking about the different forms of family in our society. And they begin with their explanation of what a family is. So I saw someone as well just started with family is a group of persons and all of that. So I would assume that you just leave out the part to do you leave out the introduction just for this discourse. But when you actually write in, make sure and you have your introduction based on the format that they are asking. The next part says to analyze the social and emotional effects of adoption and informal care situations on children. So that's that first part. And then the second part, they're saying they want you to particularly discuss the phenomenon of barrel children in the Caribbean. So one time you need to remember or think about what is barrel children, because in your analysis they want you to mention or include barrel children. So again, your essay should flow. So after you put the difference between adoption and fostering, this here now has the analyze the social and emotional effects. Answering this one time will flow into it because it's looking at adoption there, so it will flow straight into it. So children who are adopted may feel sad or depressed as they miss their parents or are unclear as to the reason for adoption. They may also have questions that cannot be answered, which leads to confusion about their identity. They may be embarrassed about their situation, especially when interacting with peers and having to explain their family circumstances. So this is how we are analyzing the social and emotional. So emotionally, we could see the effects, they're being sad and depressed and all of that. And socially, they're being embarrassed about their situation when it comes to their peers. So we looked at the analysis there. With informal care situations, children can have mixed feelings about why they may have been left behind by their parent or parents, who usually leave their children in the care of a family member as they go abroad to make a better life for themselves and their family. Because a barrel child cannot be a barrel child without a parent living abroad. So yeah, I must mention they living abroad. This is one of the main reasons for what we know as barrel children. Parents care for their child or children from a distance by sending money, clothes, or food via barrels from abroad. While the physical needs are being met, it is difficult for parents to provide emotional and physical support that their child needs. This can lead to feelings of loneliness and abandonment, which can either make the child be withdrawn or lash out. There may also be a lack of role models, which leads to delinquent behavior. So that analysis there, based on what we know the command word analyze to mean, that answer is making sure that everything that they're asking to be analyzed is analyzed. They talk about emotional and social effects of adoption and informal care situations, and they also spoke about barrel children in that situation there, because the informal care situations may be that the child is left with their grandparents or aunts or uncles, or even the older siblings may have to be the ones to care for their younger siblings in the absence of their parents being abroad. So that will cover that entire analysis there. And then they said to propose 3 strategies that societies can use to support diverse family formations, ensuring that emotional and educational needs are met regardless of family structure. So, how can the society support these family formations? Let's look at that. Societies can form support groups or mentoring programs for families, especially those that need additional support, like single parent families, for both parents and children. They can provide school counselors where children have access to emotional support, and they can ensure that all children have access to services without limitations because of family type or situation. So this is how the societies can support diverse family formations. And when we're looking at diverse family formations, we're just looking at the different family types. We're just looking at being a part of a single parent family, a sibling household, any other family type that will be considered the diverse family types. And it says here to evaluate the long-term implications of recognizing and supporting diverse family formations on societal cohesion and child welfare in the Caribbean. So children function better when they feel supported and have a sense of belonging. In turn, this leads to, because this is so that we're looking at the long term, in turn, this leads to better functional adults who are secure because they grew up with support and love, irregardless or regardless, of the family type or household situation from which they belong. So, this is the long term implications. We're looking at when they grow up, what's going to happen with these children once they are supported. Do we have any questions, comments, or concerns?
No, miss.
Okay, good. So we took an hour there. We'll move on. So I have another family question, but I'm kind of trying to work out the timing. If we have time, we will do another. If not, fine. So we'll move on to social issues because it's individual, family, and society. So let's look at social issues. All right. We'll go with this one here. Just share my screen. It's too much happening on this screen. I should have persons getting either boot out and I am not seeing it until after. So give me a second. Let me just take off this setting with the waiting room so that persons could just come right back. Okay. Oh, that is why. Because it has too much persons at once. Right, so I'm going to take off the waiting room. So if you get put out, it's just to come back in because of how I'm sharing my screen. I am unable to see who is in or who is out. So we're going to look at the topic of social issues. So just to let you all know, any question from family can come. It can be as simple as naming family types, advantages and disadvantages. And it goes from there. You can look at preparation for parenthood, parenting skills, changes in the family, in terms of what that question mostly was all about. It can look at forming families, key terms. It can look at functions as well. So you need to be abreast with all of these topics when it comes to family. Because any of those can come, so you need to know all. So we know what is social issues. That is where we look at things like domestic. What are some of the social issues that we know? So if you can just unmute your mic, that'll be fine as well.
Domestic violence, abuse.
Right, domestic violence. We have different forms of abuse.
Substance abuse.
Right, we have substance abuse. What else we have?
Child abuse.
Child abuse. What else? Sexual abuse.
Right. Poverty rates.
Poverty, good. Unemployment, good.
Mental health challenges.
Dealing with persons with disabilities and the elderly.
High criminal
Good.
rates.
What's happening to my thing here? Right. Computer is definitely doing it. My computer is sticking. Why is it sticking? Right, so in the child, seeing domestic violence. Juvenile delinquency, good. So the first question there, this computer is driving me nuts. Is name two social issues that affect the family all social issues affect the family, so you can put any two, 1 mark each.
Excuse me, ma'am.
You all would have, yes?
Will discrimination against religion be one? Like people who don't like certain religions or treat people a different way because of their religion be one?
So not specifically religion, but discrimination of persons. So it can be for any cause. Religion is just one of the reasons.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have all those things that you all would have mentioned. So I just had 4 here: domestic violence, substance abuse, teenage pregnancy, and poverty. Outline 2 factors that contribute to the social issues identified and their effect on the family. So you will receive 1 mark for each thing that they are asking. So outline 2 factors, that's 2 marks. And their effect on the family, that's another 2 marks. So I'm going to call now, since you all had others. And I will go with, for instance, like if you said juvenile delinquency, I will ask you a factor that contributes to juvenile delinquency. So like that. If you didn't say anything, now is your time. Right. So Brendan, tell me a social issue and tell me 1 factor that contributes to your social issue. Remember, I say if you cannot answer or you can't respond, please say so. Put it in the chat so that we would not just be waiting on you. Mr. Francis, give me a social issue and give me 1 factor that contributes to it.
Miss, I've been thinking about poverty.
Okay then. So right, Brendan would have messaged in the chat. He said that his social issue was juvenile delinquency, and a factor that will affect is the lack of parents giving advice and proper training. Thank you, Brendan. I'll choose 1 more person. Janae, give me your social issue and 1 factor that contributes to the social issue.
Teenage pregnancy.
And give me 1 factor that contributes to the social issue of teenage pregnancy.
I don't know.
I didn't hear. I didn't hear.
No.
All right, so it's kind of muffled on your side. So somebody said they're wrong noise, so they're unable to unmute their mic at the moment. All right, no problem. So we have to Janae's answer of teenage pregnancy. We have lack of parental guidance. Good. And their effect on the family. So how does juvenile delinquency affect the family? And how does teenage pregnancy affect the family? We're going up with your answers. So anyone could respond in the chat or raise their hand and go ahead and unmute their mic. So we're looking at juvenile delinquency and teenage pregnancy, how they affect the family. Yes, Dana Pierre, go ahead.
For juvenile delinquency, it could be lack of rules and discipline in the household.
Right, so how does that affect the family?
If they can't discipline the child or allow the child to follow the rules and stuff, it could be hard to maintain the stability of the household.
Good. So I'm seeing financial strain. So good. The person who would have sent financial strain. But as I said, you need to give me a little more than just saying financial strain. Um, how what causes the financial strain, that kind of thing. I'm seeing that someone is saying juvenile delinquency can put on a strain on the family functioning, on the family function, lack of education. So that is correct, but you need to just go a little bit inside. Yes, Tanishka.
So I answering on teenage pregnancy. So it could have a financial strain on the families. Families may have extra expenses for the baby, such as food, clothing, healthcare, and childcare, which can create financial stress.
All right. So for the person who put financial strain, Tanishka, would have helped you there in terms of explaining. I saw Tanisha, I saw you raise your hand and then you put it back down. That's okay, Rachel. Yes, I know you told me you're at work.
So emotional stress could be one. The parents could become stress managing their child's behavior and stuff.
Very good. We have poor reputation on the family. Excellent. So we understand that there. So the two, based on the four that I have, I think I would have just chosen two. So two factors that contribute to domestic violence is the abuse of alcohol or drugs that alters the behavior of the individual. That's one, and being a victim of abuse and repeating the behavior learned. This affects the family psychologically and emotionally, as victims can become depressed and suffer from anxiety. And then I looked at poverty. Two factors that contribute to poverty are unemployment and the inability to afford basic necessities needed for survival. This causes stress on the entire family where parents are unable to provide for their children and may lead to making decisions that may be illegal. So good, we would have answered that. Choose one of the social issues you have identified and describe two strategies that government, social agencies, and individuals can recommend to address this issue. Assess the effectiveness of two of these strategies. So, one of the social issues, and you are going to give two strategies that government, social agencies, and individuals can recommend to address this and assess the effectiveness of the two strategies. So let me I will put the answer that I would have had there. And then I'll go to the chat to see if anyone would have. My computer is just sticking on me today. Do not understand why. Let me just quickly to the chat and see if anybody indicated any of these strategies. My computer is sticking. Okay, so no one said anything as far as I can see, unless my computer froze, which it is. Yeah. Just give my computer a second to get itself together. Because I'm seeing that there are new messages, but I am unable to. Yes, Shakila. Go ahead in the meantime.
One of the social issues could be teenage pregnancies, and one of the strategies that the government and the individuals can recommend is to do sex education, where they teach them to have safe sex and they teach them the outcomes that of having sex.
Of having unprotected.
Yeah.
All right. Right. So I would have chosen in my answer here that you may see on the screen for domestic violence, a strategy that can be used to address this problem is putting a safety plan for victims where they can go to be safe from the abuser and ensuring that the laws that are in place to deal with domestic violence are put into effect. Also, counseling should be provided for victims to help them understand that they can leave the situation and help them deal with the emotional, psychological, and physical effects of the abuse. So, if you notice there, the strategies that I would have suggested could be from either government, social agencies, and individuals. It puts all of them in general in a nutshell. These strategies will be effective because if victims know that there is some ways they can be safe from the abuser, they would leave and seek safety in the face of abuse. So that is the first one, the effectiveness of the first strategy. Also knowing that if they report the abuse, that something will be done will give them a sense of security. And then the second one, providing counseling will be effective as persons may feel ashamed and may not know how to manage their feelings of the abuse. Some victims blame themselves and think that they deserve what is being done to them. Counseling will help them to know that it is not their fault and they are not deserving of the abuse. Let me check the chat. So, poverty, and it says one, they can offer jobs. By offering jobs, it could help with people who struggle with poverty and causing them to change their standard of living. So counseling, as I said, I know you're at work, Rachel, but just I don't want that when you're going to the exam tomorrow that you just keep putting those one words. You need to explain a bit. Somebody said giving grants. Of course, you know you need to expand on that. We have for juvenile delinquency, discipline programs. Excellent. Go ahead, Dana.
Yes, for juvenile delinquencies, I'd say that social industries can organize community events for juvenile teenagers to participate in community service, counseling, and get the help that they need in order to
Very good.
change.
How will this be effective?
It will allow the teenager to feel like they are part of something and to develop strong social skills and abilities.
Very good. Let's look at the question number 2. Define the term child abuse. Here the command word is defined, and I just want you to give a very simple definition of child abuse. So, child abuse is the physical, sexual, psychological harm with intent of a child. It also includes neglect. 2 marks, simple definition. Outline 2 factors that contribute to child abuse and describe their effects on individuals and families. 4 marks, so that means your 2 factors, 1 mark each, and their effects on individuals and the family, 1 mark each. So that is your 4 marks. So We can talk about it. Outline 2 factors that contribute to child abuse.
Unemployment,
So I got booted out the meeting again. I'm seeing 2 hands. Shakila, we'll take you first and then Tanishka.
Miss, one of the factors could just be that the parents themselves didn't have a good example of what proper parenting should look like. So they thinking it normal
Okay,
and
good.
it'll actually cause harm to the child.
All right, good. Tanishka.
I have substance abuse. Some parents might rely on drugs and alcohol when they are dealing with stress and hence might take it out on the children after a while.
Good. Absence of parents. Anybody? Annalise?
miss unemployment, um, which can cause personal stress, which can lead to child abuse.
Good. See if there's anybody else who wants to respond. Okay, so nobody else. Good. So, 2 factors that contribute to child abuse may be poor mental health or stress. And also, as Tanishka said, substance abuse can lead to someone abusing a child. They asked to describe the effects on the individuals and families. Child abuse can affect a child psychologically and emotionally, as it can lead to feelings of depression, low self esteem, and even guilt. Within the family, it can be difficult to help a child who has been a victim of child abuse. Why you think, just side note, why you think it might be difficult to help a child who might be a victim of child abuse?
Miss, because not all children will reach out to the appropriate authorities.
Excellent. Very good. And the last part of that question, choose one factor contributing to child abuse and suggest 2 interventions that government, social agencies, and individuals can recommend to address this issue. Assess the effectiveness of each intervention. So, Tanishka would have said substance abuse could lead to someone abusing their child. Somebody else spoke about stress could lead to someone abusing their child. So, how can the government, social agencies, and individuals, what are 2 suggestions of intervention that can be offered to them? Counseling, yes. And we know we have to expand on that answer. House checks. Tell me what you mean by house checks.
Like social workers just randomly showing up at the house to do checks on the child and their well being.
Very good. So I wanted to say that. Social workers dropping in the household or by the house. Good. Dana?
Miss, this might be a little too far, but the government can put certain limits on alcohol consumption, especially for those with children.
Okay, and how will that be effective? All right, answer the whole thing.
Miss, because if they have a limit of how much alcohol they could actually buy and consume, then actually I don't know. Never mind.
No, I want to think about it. Because remember, this is suggestions. So it's what you suggest, but it doesn't matter what you suggest. Once you can justify your suggestion to make it make sense, then yeah. Tanishka.
I have rehab programs where the government and social agencies can provide counseling and rehab services to help parents overcome substance abuse. Individuals can also encourage affected persons to seek help.
Good. Somebody say providing affordable childcare and discouraging corporal punishments. All right. Shaniqua.
Yes, Miss. One of the stuff could be that the government could increase the price for alcohol, and this is likely to be effective as less persons would purchase as the price would have raised.
So we will use those bans on alcohol answers for things like substance abuse, right? When we're looking at child abuse or any suggestion, we're looking at how it could help the victim itself. So if you're looking at domestic violence, any suggestion will be to help the victim. So those answers could be reserved for if we're looking at substance abuse. So here we have two interventions to dealing with child abuse. Firstly, is to report any suspected cases of child abuse. While a child may not come outright and say that they are being abused, there are signs that can indicate something is wrong, and this must be reported to the relevant authorities. This will be effective because if indeed a child is a victim of abuse, it can be dealt with and the child can be removed from the home or environment and be safe. Another intervention is providing counseling to the victim of child abuse. In cases of abuse, the victim may feel depressed or guilty, which may lead to self harm. Providing counseling will be effective as it helps them to assess the circumstance surrounding the abuse and therefore it will help them manage feelings while giving the necessary support. So, to the person who had counseling, this is just an example of how you can expand your answer on counseling. Yes, T?
Miss, what if the parents themselves was a victim of abuse? So when like they raising the children, they don't know any better, and they themselves also need counseling.
Right, so you can include that as well as an intervention method.
Okay,
Good.
Miss.
But we're not going to negate the fact that when we're looking at intervention, we also or we making sure that the victims of whatever it might be are the ones who get in the help first. And let's look at an essay type question on social issues. Write a newspaper article focusing on the social issues of desertion and juvenile delinquency. In your article, the first thing that they want you to do is to define the term desertion and explain its impact on children and families. Then they want you to identify two factors that contribute to desertion and discuss how these factors can lead to juvenile delinquency among affected children. Then they want you to analyze the role of government policies, and community interventions in addressing desertion and preventing juvenile delinquency. They also want you to propose 2 strategies that individuals and communities can implement to support families affected by desertion and reduce the incidence of juvenile delinquency. So, we know the format. Why my computer is sticking? Is to write an article. So you begin your essay in that format. They ask you to define desertion and explain its impact on children and family. Right. Where are we? So I'm just going to put the answer there. So I realize every time my computer is sticking, I get boot out. And right now it is sticking. I don't know if it's something with the Zoom or what. And I've seen a lot of persons getting boot out and having to come back in. Right, so desertion occurs when someone abandons their family responsibilities. That's just the simple definitive or definition of desertion. Explain its impact on children and family. Desertion negatively affects children as they may feel as if they are the cause of the person leaving the family and cause them to go into depression. Also, it can cause them to act out and engage in negative behaviors or even join in gangs to fill the void of the person who deserted the family. Overall, this can affect the family if the person was the sole breadwinner and leaves the family in a position to face poverty and struggle financially. So here we would have defined and explained the impact on both, well, on the children and on families generally. The essay flows again. They ask to identify 2 factors that contribute to desertion in families and discuss how these factors can lead to juvenile delinquency among affected children. So 2 factors that can contribute to desertion. What can make persons or a person leave their family or abandon their family? Okay, so just before you answer, someone asking if it's past paper questions. So they are questions that Jill Morris, in her new textbook that follows the 2025 syllabus, she would have created a pool of questions to follow the new the new format and the new syllabus. So it's not necessarily from a past paper because the papers in the past, they didn't follow the format that is now being tested. So what can cause persons to desert their family?
Financial difficulty.
Financial problems. Yes, Dana?
Better opportunities elsewhere in another country or something, so.
All right. So they get better opportunity and they just decide they're leaving the family. Yes,
As
Tanishka?
to this question, you're talking about the kids leaving the family, or we talking about the adults deserting the children?
The second part.
Okay.
Liz, I was thinking that what if it was like a teen parent and they weren't ready for them to have a child? So after the child reached up a certain age, they abandoned the family.
Okay, good. So we
Miss,
have, yes, I seen a hand. Go ahead. Someone said, Miss, you can go ahead.
I've been thinking about what if they leave their family for their partner, like go live with their partner.
Yes, that is one as well. That is one. So, two factors that can contribute to desertion in families are mental health issues or stress, which will make someone walk away from their family and family responsibilities. And also, if they are unemployed and the stress of not being able to provide causes them to leave their family. And as Mr. Francis said, it could be an outside relationship can cause desertion as well. And it asks how these factors can lead to juvenile delinquency. So let's look at the factors that I have here, where we look at the mental health stress and not able to provide, so they leave. These can lead to juvenile delinquency, as children may act out as a way the hurt caused by the feeling of abandonment. Also, if it is the father that deserts the family, the children, especially the male children, will not have a positive role model and may engage in delinquent behavior as a result. So they may also be probably looking for attention or love in gangs and all of that. So that causes them to engage in delinquent behavior. We will analyze the role of government policies and community interventions in addressing desertion and preventing juvenile delinquency. So, what role does the government and community interventions have? So, government policies help to provide assistance for such families as they provide food cards, the paying of maintenance for children, free counseling services, etc., which helps the remaining parent provide for the children. So here we have the policies that in the event, like if it's a two-parent household and one leaves, the father was the main breadwinner, you provide for the needs of them. Also, if it's in a case like what Mr. Francis was talking about, the mother or the father, let me try to balance it. The mother or the father leaves because of a new relationship. We have things in place like the paying of maintenance to help assist the family if one person abandons or leaves. Community interventions are important as well, as the community comes together to support their own with programs and any type of support that they can. So this may take the form of community drives, being able to, let us say, have homework centers or some sort of activity so that when the parent that remains isn't home, the child could go and get help with schoolwork and all of that. Propose two strategies that individuals and communities can implement to support families affected by desertion and reduce the incidence of juvenile delinquency. So the community can have community-based programs targeting families that need assistance, as I was just saying, either through counseling or by having food drives to help those families that are suffering financially because of desertion. They can also have mentorship programs to fill in the gap of role models that are missing in the home. They can have after school programs to assist children with schoolwork or homework, and even have skills programs for them to join to occupy their time after school. So, that is what some strategies that can be put in place to support families. So we are finished there with the social issue question. I will give you all a 5-minute break and we will come back with a group question. So let me put an alarm, and we have 5 minutes to take a break, use the toilet, whatever you may need to do.
What kind of 5 minutes is that?
Okay, so somebody told me, okay, Shakila, somebody said before 5 minutes would have been a little too much, so you'll get 5 more minutes and that's it. And it's actually 5 minutes, not an average. So I hope you all are hearing that. That's the alarm. So let's get into groups. Do the group question. That's a good idea. Getting into groups to do the group question. I'll do that for the next group question. Put you all in breakout rooms for that group question. That will be excellent. Oh dear, how did I do? Okay, so we're going to look at a group question because after social issues, there's a question on culture, but I left the culture question for when we are doing the entire past paper itself. So we'll move into groups. A group question. I'll just put any question together. Right. So give one reason why cooperation is essential for social groups to achieve their goals. So here we're looking at cooperation, we're looking at group goals. So why is it essential for groups to work together or to cooperate? So cooperation is essential for social groups to achieve their goals as it entails members working together. When members work together, group goals are easily achieved. So I don't know if you noticed as well, since we are answering the questions, all the questions are answered in full sentences and is answering what they are asking. The next question suggests 3 different sanctions that can be used within a social group to encourage positive behavior and discourage negative behavior. So we know that sanctions can either be positive or negative. And they ask specifically how it can encourage positive behavior and discourage negative behavior. So 3 different sanctions that can be used within a group to encourage positive behavior and discourage negative behavior are punishment for those who do not follow the rules. Verbal warnings can be used as a reminder of what is expected and what can happen if rules are not adhered to or the behavior persists, and suspension or expulsion from the group as a means to address the negative behavior within a group. So right here we realize that for each suggestion, that will be 2 marks. And also we're making sure that our sanctions will ensure that persons stay away from the negative behavior. And here they're asking why each sanction will be successful. So I want someone to answer at least one for me. So we have here punishments for those who do not follow the rules. Why will that sanction be successful in encouraging positive behavior and discouraging negative behavior? Yes, Lena?
Because it allows group members to understand that if they do something wrong, they will get in trouble for it.
Very good. Shakila, you will do the next one. Verbal warnings. As a reminder of what is expected and what can happen if rules are not adhered to. Why will that be successful to encourage positive behavior and discourage negative behavior?
Because it will invoke a kind of fear in them. So they wouldn't want to be put in a situation where what they said will happen would happen if they don't follow the rules.
Okay, good, because I was wondering where you was going with that invoking a fear, but you came back. And the last one, suspension or expulsion from the group. How will that be successful to encourage positive behavior and discourage negative behavior? Where are my participants? Yes, Shaniqua?
So, encourage positive behavior as the person would really understand that, hey, I was wrong in this situation, and it will more like encourage them to do better as an individual and discourage the mistake that they would have made.
That's how suspension or expulsion, right? Because it's that one you do it.
Yes.
All right. So let me just share what I have here. When members see that persons are being punished for not following the rules, this will act as a deterrent from negative behavior. So verbal warnings act as a reminder of what is acceptable and what is not. When members are warned against negative behavior, they are reminded of the repercussions of their behavior, and suspension and expulsion from the group allows members to see that there are sanctions for members not following the rules, and if they want to be a part of the group, they will not engage in any behavior that will cause them to receive the same sanction. Let's look at another group question here. This thing is slowing me down. So you are a member of a sports club that promotes inclusivity and teamwork. Describe 2 benefits of joining a sports club. Then you have to outline 3 actions you may take to encourage young adults in your community to join a sports club. Explain why 2 of the actions that you have suggested are likely to work. So, 2 benefits of joining a sports club. So, like these questions are more of the ones that you're accustomed to because, hey, you're probably a part of a sports club, that kind of thing. So, let me get some answers. 2 benefits of joining a sports club. Yes, Shakaina.
Miss, it improves physical health and fitness, and it develops teamwork and social skills.
Excellent. We will go with that. Outline 3 actions that you may take to encourage young adults in your community to join a sports club. So, what can you do to encourage young adults in your community to join the sports club? Anybody?
Promoting
So, yes,
sport.
I'm just now at you. So, I'm saying you can come better at the sport, promote health. Good, Rachel. Go ahead, T.
I was saying how you could promote the sports club and all the benefits there are to joining it.
But how?
Either through like handing out flyers or through social media?
Very good. So that is the how. That's what they're asking here. What actions you would take. So she said that social media or actually going and handing out flyers. Anybody else? Organize community events. So you might just not put just organize community events, but you can say organize a community sporting activity in the sport. So let us say, for instance, it's basketball. You want to organize a community basketball tournament. So you have to be specific because it's sport we're talking about. You can show them to use their time. Which one are you answering, Savory? Because the question is 3 actions you will take to encourage to join the sports club. Okay, the benefits. Okay. Good. So use the time useful and impactful and benefit them at the same time. Good. Tanishka?
I was thinking that it could help them, it could encourage them to join. You could encourage them to join it by telling them how it could help them with their future and also with their academic performance because of certain clubs and sports. It could help them. It make it easier for them to get a scholarship for a school, foreign or in Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay, but what platform are you going to use or what action you're going to use to tell them that?
You
That's
can
what the
have like
question.
a campaign,
You
kind
can have
of like a campaign.
right, so that's what
Where
the question is asking.
okay.
So it's asking the action you're going to take to be able to reach them, to encourage them. So we have using social media, handing out flyers, having community programs, well, community events in the sporting discipline. We could also have here, well, we say advertising on social media, have well-known coaches or athletes in the sporting discipline come and conduct workshops in the community. So let us say, for instance, you're trying to promote cricket. You might know Brian Lara, and Brian Lara will come and he will have a workshop about cricket, and people saying, well, we know everybody know Brian Lara around the world. Brian Lara is famous. So if he could come and have a workshop and teach us the game and tell us about the benefits and all of that, well, yeah, that might encourage them to join. I can't think of any other sport right now to think of an athlete. And also have the sports club being free because sometimes what will deter persons from joining a sports club or a sports group is either membership fees or having to pay for equipment and all of that. So if it's free, that encourages people to, to want to join. Because anything free, we up for. Well, most times. And explain why the two suggestions will most likely will be successful. Sorry. I want you to use the ones that I have there and tell me why two of the actions is likely to be successful. So we're using the 3 actions that I have and tell me why it will be successful in encouraging young adults to join the sports club. So we have advertise on social media, have well-known coaches, and having it free. No one?
I think in miss.
All right. Thanks. Right, so we have here a lot of young adults are using social media. So by advertising it on there, you can reach a lot of them. Good. So we have social media out of the way. Well-known coaches and the sports club being free.
But as you said, Brian Lara. Brian Lara is one of the best cricketers we know. So with Brian Lara coming and have a forum, coming and speak at a forum, will encourage people to want to play because young persons will want to be like Brian Lara.
Excellent. Good. And the last one, the sports club being free. Yes, Dana.
The sports club being free would encourage young adults in the community, because if they don't have, these are young adults, they don't have enough money to pay for certain things. So it being free would allow them to come without having to pay. And yeah.
Good. Very good. Right, so here I have having well-known coaches and or athletes conduct workshops can encourage adults to join the club as they interact with persons who are successful in the sport. This serves as motivation to them that they too can be successful in the sport one day. And having the sports club free of charge gives the opportunities to everyone to be part of the club. And the last question in groups we have is an essay type question. The reason why I'm trying to do an essay type question in each of the topic is because it can come. We need to bear that in mind. Thank you all so much though for bearing with me. My computer is, I do not know why it is giving all this trouble. And I only use this for work. Right, so you are a journalist preparing an article for the local newspaper on religious institutions in Jamaica. In your article, begin by stating 2 examples of a religious institution. Describe 2 roles of religious establishments in promoting moral values, To ensure that your article is well balanced, provide 3 questions that cannot see the rest. Why am I not seeing the rest? Right. That you would ask a religious leader to get information about religious institutions. Explain why each question is important. So you're a journalist. Okay, sorry, I'm seeing. Okay, this is kind of. So just to backtrack, persons would have responded about the question. Advertising on social media will be affected because a lot of young adults are using the platform. They have something in common with individual social media because most young adults spend their time on social media. Good. So sorry about that. It's just trying to navigate, sharing the screen and the chat and persons raising their hand and all of that. So trying to do all 3 at the same time. So we're looking at this essay type question. So I'm going to ask one of the students here to share their response to this essay type question with the group. Annalise?
Miss and again, send it in the chat, but yeah.
Okay, so Annalise is going to read her essay then. You're going to read it?
Yes, miss.
All right, so she's going to read the essay. So let me just reread the entire thing. You're a journalist preparing an article for the local newspaper on religious institutions in Jamaica. In your article, begin by stating two examples of a religious institution. Describe two roles of religious establishments in promoting moral values. To ensure that your article is well balanced, provide three questions that you ask the religious leader to get information about religious institutions. Explain why it is important. So, you all who are listening will be marking Annalise's essay. So, let me tell you how it will be marked. Let me give you the rubric. So, we know the rubric 4 marks is for grammar and language, development of the essay, organization of the essay. That will include introduction, conclusion, and how well the essay flows. That's the 4 marks. That first one that says begin by stating two examples of religious institution, that will be 2 marks. So I'll just put a 2 next to it. So we know that it's 2 marks. Describe two roles of religious establishments in promoting moral values. It's describing its 2 roles, 4 marks. To ensure that the article is well balanced, provide 3 questions that asks to get information and why each is important. So that will be, she's getting 2 marks for each question and 2 marks for each explanation. So that is 12 marks altogether. So she will read, and you will just make sure that she has everything here, and we will mark accordingly. So Annalise, don't read too fast because we have 7 persons listening and marking your essay. So
Okay,
begin.
I'll try not to. Religious institutions are very important in Jamaican society because they help to shape people's beliefs, values, and behavior. They play a major role in guiding how people live and interact with others. And they continue to have a strong influence on the everyday life in Jamaica. 2 examples of religious institutions in Jamaica are churches and mosques. Churches are the most common and are places where Christians gather to worship, pray, and learn about their faith. Mosques are places where Muslims go to pray and receive guidance about their religion. Both of these institutions help to bring people together and give them a sense of belonging in their community. Religious institutions also help to promote good moral values. One way they do this is by teaching people the difference between right and wrong through sermons and lessons. This helps individuals learn values like honesty, respect, and responsibility. Another way is by encouraging people to live good lives by showing kindness, forgiveness, and discipline. These teachings can help reduce bad behavior and encourage people to make better choices. To make sure the article is balanced, it is important to ask religious leaders some questions. One question could be, how do your institution help young people learn good values? This is important because it shows how religion affects young people. Another question could be, what challenges do you face when trying to guide people today? This helps to show the difficulties they deal with in modern society. A third question could be, how does your institution help the community outside of your church? No, outside of church or worship. This is important because it shows how they support people in different ways. In conclusion, religious institutions like churches and mosques play an important role in Jamaica by teaching good values and guiding people's behavior. They also help to build strong communities by asking the right questions. We can better understand how they work and why they are still important in today's society.
All right. Do we need her to read it one more time or we good there? All right, nothing yet. We need her to read it one more time or we good there? Why Francis crying? I'm seeing thumbs up. That means all good. So I could call on anybody to tell me how they allocated the marks for this essay, right? Good. So, Gabriel or Gabriel Wilson, which one? Gabriel or Gabriel? All right, no response. Selena? Every time I call somebody, name
Hi.
doesn't. Yes, hi. So were you able to?
Good night.
Yes, we hearing you, Selena.
Can you please repeat the question?
So I'm asking you to give your comments or your marks based on the essay that was just shared.
As
Were you
in,
able? Were you able
as
to
in, if I'm
allocate?
able to elaborate?
Were you able to allocate the marks for the essay that was just read?
Most of it, yes.
All right. So let me hear you. So for her introduction, conclusion, the grammar and language, how many marks did you allocate her there?
For that part, I did, well, I actually got full marks at that aspect.
All right. So full 4 marks. And the first part began by stating 2 examples. Did she state 2 examples of religious institutions?
Yeah.
Right. So that would have been 2 marks. Thank you, Selena.
You're welcome.
Let's go with let's see what Haley. I've been seeing the name there. Haley, the second part that says describe 2 roles of religious establishments in promoting moral values. How many marks did you give her there? You can put it in the chat if you can't unmute your mic. So anybody could put how much marks they would have given her in the chat. So I'm asking how much you would have given her. Eh? So it was out of 4 marks. But if she would have covered by describing the 2 roles, then yes, she would have gotten the 4 marks. So did she describe? Okay, good. So you would give her 4. Because she did describe the 2 roles of religious establishments. I'm seeing somebody else saying they would give her the 4 marks as well. Right. Let's look at the last part. So ensure the 3 questions that she would ask a religious leader to get information about religious institutions. Let's look at that first part there, which was 6 marks. Were the questions that were asked, could she get information about the religious institution? You could put it in the chat. So I didn't hear the questions. So Annalise, could you repeat the questions? Just the questions alone. So read that paragraph where you have there the questions.
Okay. To make sure the article is balanced, it is important to ask religious leaders some questions. One question could be, how does your institution help young people learn good values? This is important because
So
it shows.
just give us the three questions, not why each is important.
Oh, okay. Why I go in?
I know you have it together, so just kind of see if you get
Okay.
it.
How does your institution help young people learn good values? What challenges do you face when trying to guide people today? And how does your institution help the community outside of church or worship?
Right. So out of 6 marks, how much would you give her for those three questions that she would have asked? Somebody says 6. I don't know what IG mean. Because the
I guess,
question. Oh, I gave. Okay. Thanks.
guess.
Message.
I guess. Okay. Anybody else? 6.
Miss,
Yeah, because.
I
Yes.
guess the questions can repeat it, please. The audio kind of breaking up a little bit
What's that?
on my side. By chance, the questions can repeat it, please, because the audio kind of breaking up a little bit on my side.
Okay. So Shania, it's out of 6 marks. So I don't know if you give her 2 extra because you think it was that good. And Annalise, could you just repeat the questions with the explanations this time? Because I want to ask immediately after if the explanation goes with the question. So you can read the entire thing from the questions.
Sure. To make sure the article is balanced, it is important to ask religious leaders some questions. One question could be, how does your institution help young people learn good values? This is important because it shows how religion affects young people. Another question could be, what challenges do you face when trying to guide people today? This helps to show the difficulties they deal with in modern society. A third question could be, how does your institution help the community outside of church or worship? This is important because it shows how they support people in different ways.
Good. Out of 12 marks. What we giving her there? No, not the flow of the question. The 4 questions have been marked. Mr. Francis said he doesn't know. Right, so somebody messaged and said they'll give 12 marks. Okay, so 10 from what I could have heard. Okay, no problem. So somebody said 12 because she would have given the 3 questions and explained why it is important and it was clear. All right, good. Yeah, so 11 or 12, all right. 11. I feel like the explanation could have been a bit more, but otherwise, that girl had a good flow and it was clear. So 11 or 12. All right. Good. So I would have asked her to share because, well, one, you could hear how the actual essay will or should flow. And yeah, I think she did a pretty decent job with it. Um, did you remember how much you got, Annalise?
Not really, but I think I lost like 2 marks with some error I made, but I can't remember like
Yeah.
exactly where it was.
Yes. So she would have just lost 2 marks for that essay. So she would have gotten 20 out of 22 for that essay. So that is our groups question. After groups, what's the next topic after groups? Can anybody tell me?
Government.
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 Yes, government. So let me just see if I could find a government question that there's an essay type. As I told you all before, why this computer is giving all this trouble. Right. So I got a government question here. Sometimes a lot of the times the government question comes with a diagram or it comes with a table. So the screen that I'm going to share already has answers. So we will go through. As soon as the computer decides to share my screen. Soon as. Okay, good. So I'm seeing what the problem is when the computer is sticking is because people are getting booted off. That's when the computer is sticking. Right. So here we have, let's imagine a diagram. We have the ceremonial president at the top, prime minister. Under the prime minister, we have the upper house and the lower house. The question is, which system of government is illustrated above? Which system of government is this? Where you have a president, under the president, the prime minister, upper house and lower house. It's right here, a republicanism. Provide 2 examples of countries with this system of government. The answers we have here is Trinidad and Tobago and Dominica. But give me 2 other countries that are republicanism. Anyone? Might just be your country. So Trinidad and Tobago. We have Trinidad and Tobago and Dominica. Where else is a republic? Which other country in the Caribbean? Guyana, very good. One more.
Jamaica.
Will I be sending this document? I do not think so. I have to speak to my boss to see what's the intent after the session. So I can't see.
Miss, what time is session finishing?
Your time, I think, 10? Yeah, 4 to 10, 6 hours. So Barbados. Good. We also have Haiti as well.
Miss and Lucia?
No, we only have,
Oh, okay.
it's only Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, Dominica, Barbados, and Barbados became a republic in 2021, Haiti, and Suriname. Identify 2 other systems of government. We have a crown colony and the constitutional monarchy. So sometimes you all get mixed up with system of government, branch of government, type of government, system. So the systems of government is where we look at crown colony, constitutional monarchy, and republicanism. Describe 2 features of one of the systems that you have identified above. So we're looking at, I'll answer the 2. So 2 features of each. So 2 features of the crown colony includes the country is ruled by a king or queen And a governor is appointed by the crown who has all power. So that's the two features of a crown colony. It is still ruled by a king or queen, and they are the ones who appoints a governor to run the country and to look after its affairs. And two features of a constitutional monarchy is that it is ruled by a monarch whose powers are limited by a constitution, and they have a governor general who is the head of state. So someone would have mentioned the governor general in Grenada is a female. They didn't give me the name, but they just said the governor general of Grenada. So
Del
Grenada,
Sicil Granada.
excellent. So
Yeah.
so Grenada is a constitutional monarchy. So thank you so much, Rachel. So just giving full details, one action that an interest group may take if it is not happy with the performance of the government. Explain why the measure you suggested is likely to be successful. So we know an interest group is a group that, sorry. So we know, give me a second, right. We know that an interest group is a group that unites for a common objective. So they may want to influence or effect change. So we know one action an interest group can take is by protesting. So an interest group may organize a protest outside of parliament if they are not happy with the performance of the government. This will be successful as it brings attention to the group and what they are protesting about, and it sparks cooperation from others who feel the same way. This hopes to get the attention of the government and the country as to the issues they may have. So that is what an action and interest group may take. And we know that protesting brings out the cameras and everybody on social media will see it and all of that. So that is why the measure will be successful. Because one, the outside parliament, and let us say, for instance, a parliament was in session, as soon as the ministers come out or the government officials come out, they meet with this group of people protesting. So they'll have no choice but to pay attention to what they are protesting about. And well, too, if they miss it, it's going to be captured on somebody camera, somebody taping it, some news channel. So that is why it will be successful, because persons will see. A candidate in an election has been receiving negative media coverage due to a scandal. As a result, many voters have changed their opinion about the candidate. Apart from media coverage, identify two other factors that can influence voters' participation. So, two other factors that influence voters' participation are party loyalty, where persons vote for the same party no matter the performance of the government, and voters may not be satisfied with the performance of the government, so they do not vote for them again. So these are just two factors that influences voters' participation. I'm seeing two messages. So no, Venezuela is not in the Caribbean. Right. Suggest giving full details, 4 measures that the candidate may take to improve their chances of winning the seat in the upcoming general election. Explain why each measure you suggested is likely to be successful. We see that's for a whopping 12 marks. So that means 2 marks for each measure and 1 mark for each explanation. So that is 8 and 4 is 12. So 4 measures. So the candidate can be transparent about the scandal. So that's the first measure that they can take. Being transparent about the scandal shows accountability by the candidate, and they can explain what happened and maybe issue an apology if needed. This is likely to regain voters' trust, and they may see the candidate as being trustworthy and responsible. People like to know that people could own up to what they do. The candidate can host a media briefing addressing any questions or concerns that persons may have. By hosting a media briefing, this allows for any misconceptions and any untruth to be cleared up, and the candidate can clear their name or take responsibility. Because the question doesn't say that the scandal is true. So it could just be rumors. So they could host a media briefing to clear up their name. The candidate can do house-to-house canvassing. By meeting the people at their homes or business places, persons will be able to meet with the candidate at a more intimate level and can get to know them better, which may increase their trust and confidence in them. And lastly, the candidate can redirect the voters to the upcoming election and what he or she would have promised or might have already done for them. So don't study what are here. Remember the purpose. Remember fix the roads. Redirecting the voters' attention on the matters at hand and what is important by reminding them of what he has already done or will do will be successful, as voters will see that he is about business and his focus is on improving the constituency and making things happen for them as opposed to some scandal. This might cause them to shift their focus and forget about what happened. So all those. No, we're going to 10. Somebody asked me going to 11. We're going to 10. That is what so, right. So all those measures that the candidate can take. So these questions that like this causes you to just think a bit more and take your time to answer it. Because sometimes you see it and you kind of rush into it. But it's all about taking your time and ensuring that what you're saying making sense, it's appropriate, and you can back it up with your explanation. So this is the essay type question here. The police and prison service are fundamental parts of the security system. Write an essay on the role of the police and prison service. So here they're not asking you to do no letter, to do no speech, just write an essay. So this is one of like the easiest formats because it's just an essay. Just come with the introduction as normal as to what you're going to put in your essay and your conclusion after you finish. So in your essay, identify the branch of government under which the prison and police service fall. So the branch of government that the prison and the police fall under is the judiciary. Describe one function of both the prison and police service in your country. So, one function of the police service is to protect citizens from dangers, and one function of the prison service is to hold criminals by keeping them away from the public. Outline 3 strategies that the government may take to help prisoners when they are released. And explain why each strategy you have outlined is likely to work. So 3 strategies that the government may take to help prisoners when they are released is to have rehabilitation programs, which should be mandatory for all ex-prisoners to help them reintegrate in society. This is likely to work as some prisoners may have been in prison for quite a number of years and for different offenses. Rehabilitation will ensure that they understand their mistakes and understand the consequences of repeating the offense. Also, it will help them to deal with the many changes they will face when they are released, be it with family life or society as a whole. So here in this, I would have outlined the strategy and say why it will work one time. But if you notice as well, even if you are doing it like that, you need to be clear by saying this is likely to work or this will be successful because this is how they market. They look for where you would have explained that. If you don't have that, then they could only assume that the question is just the strategy alone. So don't forget to put in this is likely to work, this will be successful because that kind of thing. Another strategy is having skills and training inside the prison so that when they are released, they have some sort of skill or training. This is likely to work so that these prisoners can leave with some sort of skill so that they can acquire work when they are released. This will help with unemployment as it may be difficult for them to get a job without a skill. Another strategy is having halfway houses for those who may not have a place to go after being released. This will work as some of them may not have a home or a place to stay upon release. Having a place to stay can reduce homelessness and even turning back to crime to support oneself. And that's all they asked in the essay because I find this essay was very, very simple. And then we could look at the next essay one time. You are asked to prepare a speech on the topic ideal citizens. In your speech, so of course, it's a speech. Good day to the citizens of Grenada. I am here to talk about the topic of ideal citizens or being an ideal citizens. What is a citizen? And this is where we start and begin by defining the term citizen. A citizen is someone who has the right to live and operate in a country. The next question says to state two ways in which you can become a citizen of a country. So after you say in a country or state, one can become a citizen in a country by either being born in the country or by naturalization, which is through marriage to a citizen or your parents, one or both parents, are citizens of the country. Describe three characteristics of a good citizen. Three characteristics of a good citizen include someone who obeys the laws of the land, that's one, someone who protects the environment in which they live, and someone who pays taxes. So you just find a way to incorporate that in the essay, as in terms of to let it flow. Outline two actions you plan to take to encourage your peers to actively engage in civic duties. Two actions I plan to take to encourage my peers to actively engage in civic duties are leading by example and engaging in civic duties myself. Hopefully, when they see that I do it, I can convince them to do the same. And another action I plan to take is by making videos for social media platforms to share information about civic duties and its importance to me and my peers. Then it says to give two reasons why it is important to be an active citizen. Two reasons why it is important to be an active citizen are it gives us a voice when it comes to making decisions that affects us and are important to our country, and it encourages leaders to be accountable and transparent as they are challenged and questioned when they make decisions on behalf of us, the citizens. Another very easy government question. So sometimes you might think that the government questions is the hardest and it might take you some time. Sorry, T, I'm now seeing your hand.
Miss, my question was, what exactly is the format for the essay?
Oh, you wasn't here at the beginning.
No.
Okay, so I'll share it again right before the session ends. I will share the document again.
Okay, miss, thank you.
You're welcome. Right. So that is it for the government questions. It is not hard. It is things that you know. So it's just about application. After government, we have which topic comes after government? Anybody knows?
Miss is not regional integration.
Not yet.
Oh,
Yes. Excited for the regional integration.
not at all. Not one bit.
But is it natural resources?
Yes, human resources, namely population. Where's my population question? So I'm looking for I have two here, but I'm looking for the one that doesn't include the diagram, that doesn't have the diagram. Oh, where is my population question? Okay, let me just pull up my book. Okay, all right, need to find it. Because I'm looking for one that when I share my screen, you could see the entire thing. Right, good. This one will work. Again, thank you all for bearing with me. I do not know. I think it's because the Zoom and it's so full that it's causing the computer to slow down because I'm not quite understanding. This computer usually don't move so slow because I don't do anything else on the computer. So it usually moves quick. So right now I'm talking, and that's because I can't even get back into the tab with the Zoom to share the screen. That's why I kind of like blabbing a little bit. I'm just waiting to be allowed. Okay. So in the meantime, looking at population, explain the meaning of the term demography, and it's 2 marks. So they want you to tell them what is demography or demography, however you pronounce it. Just waiting on this to allow me to share the screen. It definitely has to be because there are so many people on YouTube. I've never seen this computer drag like this. Even the scroll is dragging. So it's not scrolling anymore. Right. Okay. Where did you go to? Explain the meaning of the term demography. Anybody knows what is demography or demography?
Is that the scientific study of human population, like the structure, the births, deaths, mortality, and so?
Yes. So I
Yes.
heard little parts. So the
I
parts that
get
I heard, it sounded correct. So demography or demography is the study of the population, looking at the births, the deaths, migration rates, and all of that. So I think I heard something about births and deaths and all of that when Rachel was speaking there. Identify one way. Oh, this thing is giving me a headache. Identify one way in which demographic information is collected. So, how can all of these things, births, deaths, anything about the population, how can that be collected?
Through a census.
Through a census.
So, if you're putting it in, I can't see it at this point because it's not allowing me to go back
We said through a census.
into. I don't even know if you're all hearing me at this point.
Yes, we're
Miss, you know
hearing.
hearing us?
My entire thing is frozen.
Oh,
We're hearing you though.
So you all are probably hearing me or not. I can't say because my screen is frozen. Nothing is happening. Okay, still frozen. Okay, so somebody just let me know that you all can hear me. I can't hear you all. So since you all are hearing me, I will talk until I can get back on to do anything here because nothing is happening. Right. So demographic information can be collected through a national census or government census. Okay, thank you. So again, you all are hearing me. I am not hearing you all. So as soon as that rectifies, I will just continue talking, right? So through a national census or a government census, that's how demographic information can be collected. We know that a census is done, at least in Trinidad and Tobago, I know, it is done every 10 years. The census, that is. Explain two reasons why governments and agencies need to know about demographics. I wish my computer was functioning regularly so I could have gotten some answers from you on this question here. So, two reasons why government and agencies need to know about demographics is that they can plan policies and programs to suit the needs of the population and also to know who has to be catered for and predict future needs as the population changes. Because in the government census or in the national census, the information that is collected, it is about the age structure, the sex structure of the population, persons who are employed, persons who are unemployed. You have the marital status of persons as well. All of that is known after you can do the census. So this is why From the census, this information is known. Good. So I am back on. Yes, we're functioning properly. So let me just come back in here. Yes, so person said census to build infrastructure and provide education. Good. Yes, true census. Yes, Shaniqua. My computer was frozen, and so you all were hearing me, but I was not hearing you all. Good. We back on. I'm kind of closing down some of my tabs as well as we go through the question. I close off the tabs so to see if that will help. Next question. Suggest 3 different demographic areas within a population and explain why government and agencies need and might use this information. So I will tell you the demographic area and you will tell me why the government and agencies may need this information. And give me an example. If you think you can't explain it well, give me an example. So the first demographic area within a population is age. Why do government and agencies need to know age of a population?
Miss, for dependency.
Or the age structure in a population?
Miss, for dependency, like to know who they need to assist.
Yes, so the policymakers are able to meet the demands and the needs of the population for the different ages.
Oh my word, why is this doing this? Yes, Dana? I don't know.
The government would need the age of the population in order to provide for the elderly, know how much people is eligible to work, and provide education for children.
Very good. Excellent. Shakila, I saw your hand, so you'll do the second one. Another demographic area within a population is occupation. Why do government and agents need or might use this information?
Miss, what question we doing? Cause I got kicked out.
Shakila?
Miss, I will answer later though. I'm dealing with something here just now.
So I don't know if it's happening again that I am not hearing. It's responding. Okay, somebody's asking to repeat the question. Okay, so Shakila can't answer. So the question is the demographic area that we're looking at now is occupation. Why would government and agencies need this information? So I think it is happening again. And it has to be because persons are not getting booted out or are leaving and coming. So it kind of messing up the entire system here. Right, so somebody's saying to know which workers are needed and to see who are employed or unemployed. Good, and the last demographic area we look at is religion. Why do government and agencies might need or might use the information about person's religion?
Miss, you could repeat that question, please.
So I'm going to just put it there because I'm guessing that we're freezing again. So after this question, I will cut off the Zoom and we will just come back right here. Right, so one demographic area within a population is age. Government and agencies might need and might use this information to know what public service is needed in which area. For example, if there's an area with the population being mostly 6 to 9 age group, the government has to ensure that there is or are primary schools in that area. Another demographic area is occupation. Governments and agencies need and might use this information to know where to focus the resources. So, for example, if a lot of people work in the industry sector, then they might have to open more job opportunities in this area. Another demographic area within a population is religion. Governments and agencies might need and use this information to understand people's needs and to be aware of their religious observances and celebration. For example, a government will know how to allocate funding for constituencies based on religious beliefs. So, like for that one, I would have put that. So, like where I live, it's predominantly Hindus. So, a lot of the constituency fundings would have been given to like Diwali celebrations and things like that because the majority of the persons in my community is Hindus. So that's why I would have used that example there. Next question. We're functioning a little better now. Identify 2 pull factors relating to migration in the Caribbean. I will call 2 persons. Malia, give me 1 pull factor relating to migration in the Caribbean.
One pull factor would be the presence of better jobs. Like, say somebody is underemployed in their country of origin, if they're able to move to a different country and get a better job where they wouldn't be underemployed, that's a pull factor.
Excellent. So that is a pull factor. Let me get somebody else to give me another pull factor. Because remember, pull factors are what attracts persons to another country. Push factors is what pushes them out of their country. So let me see. Let me call somebody else. Andrew.
There's a better education opportunity
Good, better
to further
education.
his studies.
Excellent. I saw T, your hand is up.
Mrs. Thea.
Thea, sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. I don't have the accent on Eve. That's probably why. But
Yeah.
a pull factor could be to be nearer to their family members or partner.
Very good. So that's another pull factor. I think I saw either Tanisha or Tanishka. Somebody said better health care services. So that is good as well. Next question. Identify 2 countries that are destinations for many Caribbean migrants and outline 2 push factors that encourage them to migrate there. So I will call 2 persons again. So again, let me put the question on the screen because it has like a 2 part to it. So let me put it on the screen for you. And then I will call those 2 persons. Right. So it's the last question there that says identify 2 countries that are destinations for many Caribbean migrants and 2 push factors that encourage them to migrate there. So we're looking at the 2 destinations first. Liz, can you give us one country that migrants go to?
Miss, usually a lot of migrants go to Canada.
Canada, good. Kimaya or Kmaya? All right. Giselle? Samira?
Miss, I'd say to like United States, America, and because of the tourism and better opportunities over there, that would be like a push factor.
Very good. So Mr. Francis is saying the USA, UK. Taya?
Miss Europe, a lot of people would want to go there for better healthcare and better jobs opportunities.
Very good. So we have the destinations, but a lot of you all are telling me pull factors. Tell me push factors that will encourage migration to those places. Remember, we said that the pull factors are what attracts the persons.
It's
And
lack
the
of technology,
lack of technology, yes.
crime
Shekinah.
and violence.
Crime and violence, Shekinah.
Miss lack of job opportunities.
Lack of job opportunities, Mr.
Miss
Francis is saying.
lack of resources within the country.
Very good. I'm seeing Francis would have said limited education. Tanishka.
Professionals. Mm-hmm.
Lack of proper healthcare and health services.
Very good. Good. So those
Miss,
are
I
the
said
push
something.
factors. Somebody else is saying something.
Yeah, Miss Shanika.
What is saying, sweetheart?
Miss, I said, Miss, I was saying, economic decline,
Okay, so I heard little parts because it was
like the
breaking up.
currency of the money, like all of the
All right, so that will push them
you
out
hear
of
me?
the country to migrate. Yes, there. Next question here. Give 2 negative consequences of emigration to the Caribbean from the region and suggest 2 ways in which governments and agencies could prevent migration. So when we're looking at the emigration, that's the one with the E, we're looking at exiting a
We're
country.
not in a country.
So that can kind of help you to remember the I is coming into a country, E is exiting the country. So
Mm-hmm.
2 negative consequences of emigration to the Caribbean from the region. So let's look at that part first. Negative consequences of emigration. Taya?
Miss, how to put it? The job market could decrease because so many persons partaking in brain drain.
All right, so what you said, what Francis is saying, brain drain. So we know for sure that is one of the major negative consequences of emigration, brain drain. What is brain drain? Anybody could just quickly tell me so that we could all be on the same page?
Brain drain is when educated people leave the country for better opportunities.
Right, so when skilled or educated persons leave the country, that is brain drain. Good. Anybody could give me another negative consequence? Yes, Shakaina.
Miss, labor shortage.
Labor shortages, good. And give me 2 ways in which governments and agencies could prevent migration. What they could do to prevent people leaving.
Thoughts. But if a lot of persons leave in the country, then the country could become underdeveloped in a way.
Yes, because persons who
Compared
could
to
contribute.
the US and Europe.
Yes, because people who can contribute to the development they are leaving. Also, it can lead to underpopulation as well, which is actually a real thing. Underpopulation, where there aren't enough people, or the resources that is available is more than the persons that are there to occupy or to make use of it. Right. So the government could prevent migration. They can increase salaries because if people are leaving for better working condition and higher paid jobs, if the government increases salaries, then the people then won't have to leave, or they will find no need to leave to go and work abroad, and also open job opportunities in different sectors
Miss,
because
what
some
about lowering taxes,
lowering taxes.
subsidies?
Okay. Yes, providing subsidies and lowering taxes, yeah, because even when they go to other countries, they still have to pay taxes there. So if
Yeah,
the
but what
taxes,
I'm saying is, I'm looking at it in relation to you want to build house. So if the interest rate something lower, more people will
oh,
want to build
okay,
and stuff like that.
okay. So like the whole cost of living and the
Yes.
standard of okay, yeah, okay, I now get you there.
Yeah.
And they could also provide training so that persons could get employment because a lot of the times too, it's lack of employment
Technical
opportunity.
and technical technology too. So if they have training and so people will learn different skill.
Yes, to be able to be marketable to get jobs.
Yeah.
Good. Was that the last question there? Right. So we are going to look at an essay type question. After this, we will quickly do a regional development question, and then I want to leave the last 2 hours for the past paper, the January and June last year. So let's look at the.
Miss, someone asking for you to speak back a minute.
Oh, okay, just now. Sorry. As soon as I get back in. Oh, scroll up. Around here? Okay, I will assume yes. You are a content creator writing a website article about the need for seasonal migration within the Caribbean. In your article, begin by giving 2 reasons for seasonal migration and explain what problems will arise if this does not happen. So, we're looking at types of migration. Sorry, those who type in the chat. Okay, senior Smith, absence of. Okay, that's from before. Oh, that's from way before. See if I can get up to date with the chat. Right. So, 2 reasons for seasonal migration. Why might people migrate seasonally?
Miss, is that like people that go to Canada and so to pick apples and stuff like that?
So that's an example of seasonal migration.
Okay.
Good. So what is the reason for seasonal migration? So as you said that, seasonal migration is necessary as, could you move? Thanks. Right. Seasonal migration is necessary as there are certain times of the year when more workers in an industry are needed, and thus people have to be hired to fill those vacancies. Another reason is that some countries' persons are not able to handle the extremities of the weather and will have to migrate until that season or period is over. In cases where an industry needs more workers, if this does not happen, this can cause a loss on the industry as the workers are needed. For example, harvesting of apples. If there aren't workers, then the harvest will go to waste and money from this industry is lost. So we know that seasonal migration is persons migrating to another country during certain times of the year for either work, or here we have where persons cannot stand or handle the extreme weather. So some persons might be living in cold countries like Alaska. Well, okay, probably not Alaska because they're always cold, but somewhere where it's seasonal and they can never get accustomed to the cold. So every winter season, for the 6 months, they leave to go to another country. Describe 3 benefits of seasonal migration to the host country. So the host country is the country to which the persons are going to. 3 benefits of seasonal migration to the host country is that they get workers to work in the industry where it most needs. The economy does not suffer a loss as there are workers to fill the vacancies and meet the needs, and there's an increase in foreign exchange and also revenue as the migrants are living in the country temporarily and have to buy and spend to survive. So those are the 3 benefits of seasonal migration to the host country or the country to which they are going to. So just 3 ways in which governments can encourage seasonal workers in the future. We all know seasonal workers, you offer them good money and they will come. So 3 ways in which governments can encourage seasonal workers in the future is by advertising early the vacancies that will be needed. Another way is by offering good incentives such as accommodation and possible help with relocating. And they can offer attractive salaries so persons will want to migrate. Can anybody add anything else there that the government can use to encourage seasonal workers? Anything other than those 3? All right. Let's go to the next question. Write an essay on the topic. Global overpopulation is going to lead to catastrophe. In your essay, define the term overpopulation. Overpopulation is when there is not enough resources to meet the needs of a large population. Explain what is happening to global population statistics. So if we're looking at overpopulation, that means the global population statistics, it is growing, one, and also it might have some kind of discrepancies whereby We have a lot of undocumented persons in different countries. So the population statistics is not accurate. So that is what is happening to global population statistics. Discuss 3 factors that have led to population growth and 3 problems and conflict situations that can arise from each. So 3 factors that have led to population growth are increase in birth rate, a decrease in death rate, and a high rate of migration. As a result, a country can become overpopulated, which leads to problems of lack of resources to meet the needs of the population, overcrowding in cities and towns due to too many people, and an increase in social problems such as crime and pollution, as there aren't enough jobs and lack of proper disposal of waste. And 3 strategies that can ensure overpopulation does not lead to a catastrophe, and explain fully why each strategy you suggest is likely to be successful. 3 strategies include having proper and regular census done and analyzed so that the government will know what is needed and what will be able to provide for the needs of the people in terms of schooling, healthcare, and housing. This is likely to be successful as the government will know where the resources need to be distributed and it will know how the population is increasing. This is how you can ensure that it doesn't, because a place can be quote unquote overpopulated, but it can be managed if the government knows what is happening. The government can increase access to family planning and education on managing families to ensure that persons who especially cannot afford to have a large family doesn't, as it puts a strain on services. This is likely to be successful as population increases due to an increase in birth rate. If persons are educated about family planning strategies, this is likely to decrease the occurrence of high level of pregnancies, especially among persons with a lower economic background. Another strategy will be to encourage migration out of crowded cities or towns within a country or even out of the country. Encouraging migration is likely to be successful as now you can redistribute the population so that less stress is placed on resources in one area of a country. So that is the 3 strategies that could ensure overpopulation does not lead to a catastrophe. What does that mean? That just simply means on how they can manage the population. So that is our population question. So we are going to do regional development first, or regional development question first, and then we will look at regional integration. This is me again, just waiting on the computer to cooperate. Okay, so before we go into that question, you will get your break now, because what I will do, I will log out of the Zoom and log back in and see if that will help. So have a 10-minute break, but you can track in 5 minutes. I will see if I can rectify my problem in 5 minutes. Because right now I can't even open the Zoom to end the call. So use the same link to come back in 10 minutes. So it's 6 o'clock. Well, sorry, it's 8 o'clock. 8, yeah. It's 8 o'clock. 8:10. We will resume. So just join back using the same link. Okay, I can't get out. Hopefully I'll be able to get out soon.